And we're now up to the fourth ever episode of the Outback Hoops Experience. We've gotten to the nuts and bolts of the season. We're about to hit the conference finals. I assume you're pretty pumped up being a Miami Heat man, Frosty?
Yeah, look, I've been up watching every game, watching the Heat roll through opponents.
Rolling through the league MVP.
Yeah. Get ready to roll the Celtics now.
Oh,
Just getting onto it.
it's going to be an interesting series, I think.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll
touch on that a bit
me,
more, obviously.
Yeah, that's just me speaking out of terms. But then again, I did think Milwaukee Heat were going to be an interesting series.
Yeah, I thought that'd be more competitive than it actually was for sure.
And it was pretty much over before Giannis got hurt. So
you can't use the Giannis. Yeah, if anyone tries to play that as an excuse,
I've heard national media in America trying to fucking say that, and I'm like, get off it. We were up 3-0.
It's like, are you one of the cunts that has an MVP vote?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, fucking some of those people are clowns. But yeah, the Western Conference, we're still waiting on a...
We can talk about both matchups.
Yeah, we've got two alternative matchups. Either way, one of them's playing the Lakers. The Lakers looked reasonably convincing against Houston.
Yeah.
Probably a little Houston bit underwhelming from my perspective. I felt as much as it was the Lakers were good.
I thought Harden had a really good series.
Harden was good, but Westbrook was...
Yeah, Westbrook was trash.
Yeah, Westbrook was like... Every time he drove and attempted to kick the ball out to a shooter, I died a little on the inside.
I've never seen someone make those bad passes. Like, it's not even like a bad pass. They were terrible passes. Like, I've seen him like just completely miss it by 2 meters, and it's not that difficult to pass. And
they're just standard kickouts.
Crunch time moments. Like, that's ridiculous. But get started in the old Eastern Conference with the matchup we know is going to go down.
We may as well dive into the one we're going in depth. So Boston,
3rd seed
Miami
versus the 5 seed.
First time in a while, I believe that it hasn't been a 1 or 2 seed involved. I remember.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah,
it's crazy year, but yeah.
Exciting.
How do we see it going down? I guess from my perspective, I'd sort of say it's going to be a real interesting series. Like, now that Miami, like even Brad Stevens said this himself, like he reckons the pivotal moment of the NBA season was when Miami traded for Iggy and Jay Crowder.
I like that.
I think that's a very fair point, especially in the context of this matchup.
Yeah,
because the thing is, if Miami didn't have Iggy and Jay Crowder, they'd probably be struggling a lot more with Jay.
Even I'd admit it, man. Yeah. Even I'd admit it.
Yeah. So for Brad Stevens to say that, like, it's certainly a true point. Like, it definitely makes it a much more of a series. Like, you still probably give the edge to Boston on the wing talent factor, especially if Hayward plays. But
yeah, that's a big if. Oh, no one knows because
exactly. It's an ankle sprain. It's one of those ones that can be weird. Like, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 more days, sort of thing.
Yeah,
ankle.
Brad Stevens has said he expects him for this series, but then I've also heard that he's going home for the birth of his child at some point.
Okay. Yeah,
so he was planning on missing time for the ankle and then also leaving the bubble to go home for the birth of his child. I mean,
what's the timeline on that? I haven't heard.
That's all I've heard on that front. But like, I don't know. Like, obviously, the birth of his child is very important. It's like
just a smidge.
just a smidge. But it's sort of like what's going on? Like, if his team's down 3-1, or what do you mean, Game 7 or something? Do you really reckon he'll leave?
Might think like if it was that close of a series and he was like healthy and involved in the series, I don't think it could.
It's a really hard decision. Like, obviously, I'm not trying to downplay the birth of someone's child here, but like,
what was he? I wonder if his wife was capable of relocating to the bubble once families were allowed. That'd be a logistical nightmare though if she had to try and give birth in the bubble. There's probably all sorts of logistical issues here.
Get the gloves on, mate. Purell at every corner.
Jimmy will have a coffee waiting for her after the birth.
$20.
Yeah, $20, mate. Ain't cheap, but gotta do what you gotta do.
But yeah, I'm personally really excited for this matchup. Yeah. I've been waiting for it all year. I mean,
were you expecting it to be the Celtics in the end?
No.
Like look, early in the season,
I didn't think the Heat were going to get past the Bucks, but they exceeded my expectations, and they're just playing an unbelievable level right now. You've got Tyler Hero playing like a second-year player, like, so it's sort of, they've made a little bit of a rookie jump. Like, he's a much better defender. He's running the offense. He's playing 30 minutes off the bench. He's in our.
You're telling me he went back to school during quarantine.
Yeah, he did actually. Yeah. I found out he had himself not a private gym, but his agent knew someone who knew someone close to the high school, and he was allowed to go sort of in and shoot around. He was there mornings, nights, from what I heard. So hard work's paying off here. Yeah. 30 minutes a game in the NBA playoffs as a rookie on a conference finals team. That's unbelievable.
It's nice.
There's a lot of trust from fucking Spoelstra there. But like, diving into the matchups,
like, is it Just sort of see it sticking like the point guard's guarding the point guard. Do you think there'll be a lot of
There'll be a lot of cross matching.
Yeah,
you know, when you have tacticians like Brad Stevens and Spolster, it's not going to be a straightboard series. Like you're going to get different
game
lineups.
to game.
You're going to get adaptations. I think the first game is going to be the most wild, and then obviously both coaches, all their staff and everyone, they're going to go back to the drawing board and see what they do coming from numbers from the top game, because they've only played one true game this year. The first two games in the regular season between Boston and Miami, both for Miami coming off back-to-backs and before the Iggy and Jay Crowder trade, which is, like you said before, pivotal for this whole season, like in terms
for this series, like
this
series specifically, like because of the wing talent,
their depth.
Other teams, they wouldn't have been as essential for what Miami are trying to do.
Exactly.
Against the Celtics specifically, those two,
especially with their lack of bench and everything right now, so it's very needed. So, and we really had the only one matchup in the bubble, but the Heat won that without Jimmy Butler. So I feel like, it's a bit of let off the gas there. Like Boston's probably no one was really playing for anything that serious in the bubble except for the sort of
just getting those reps for the playoffs.
It's like the Heat of the 5 seed, but not really the 5 seed in the same way. Like we had the 4, but there's no point. We were pretty much locked into the 4-5 matchup. There was no point really going for the 3rd or anything like that. It was more just make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, just consolidate healthy,
so trying to make sure no soft tissue injuries, hamstrings, quads, stuff like that.
Yeah, especially getting back into the routine the way they have to get back into it. Like you haven't seen it in footy. Like the guys have been getting injured with soft tissue stuff a lot more this year. Like
it's just bound to happen.
Trying to mitigate that.
Just science. But so the matchup's pretty unknown, which is why I think game 1's going to be absolutely wild. But I still think Spolster's going to stick with the same starting lineup. So it'll be Dragic.
The smaller with Bam at the 5, Jay at the 4 sort of thing.
Yeah, so you'll have Bam at the 5, Jay at the 4, Jimmy Duncan at the 2, 3, whatever you want to call him, doesn't really matter. And then Goran Dragic running point. Yep. I think, depending on if Hayward's healthy, I could see them bring Hayward off the bench, even if he is healthy. Just in terms of the way Marcus Smart's been playing in the playoffs.
Especially trying to get Hayward back in the rhythm. Like,
that's what I mean. I would rather... If I was Stevens, I would rather have Marcus Smart in the starting lineup and then Hayward playing against sort of second tier just to get the ball in his hands, get himself in a rhythm.
That's generally the consensus wisdom you see when teams are in that situation where they're bringing back like a player as useful to them as Hayward is to the Celtics. Like
exactly,
you see them do that strategy. Like especially if someone's stepped up in the playoffs, like you don't want to go, you've stepped up, you've done real well, you've got us to this point, but he's half injured, he's figuring it out. We'll go with him instead. Like. You go with the guy that's locked in, figured it out.
Exactly, yeah. And so matchups I think will be really interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of cross-matching in terms of, especially like down the stretch in the fourth quarter and stuff. You're not just going to have your traditional, because I don't think you don't put Goran Dragic on Kemba, or you might start him, but I don't think you end that. Like depending on how Kemba's playing, Goran's knees, the amount of pick and rolls Kemba's going to run, like you can't. That's just going to put Goran Dragic in a spin cycle. You need someone to lock down Kemba. We saw in the previous series Toronto playing a box and one on Kemba Walker because they sort of, Nick Nurse is a wonderful coach as well.
Top shelf.
And they pushed that series 7 games, and it was like, so they were obviously on something.
I was impressed with the effort Toronto showed that. Seeing the way they were down early, the way Siakam's not there yet as a go-to guy.
No, he wasn't there. You could definitely tell that wasn't. He wasn't ready for that. But also, you got to credit Boston's defense on Siakam as well, because obviously he's leading into the series was the main. But Kyle Lowry's heart, he played sensational. But I think Spolster might have been. He was definitely watching those games, seeing what's going on, trying to pick his brain. Because as much as they're head coaches in their profession, they're still students of the game. Yeah. They still learn at every corner.
Spo was grinding in that video room.
Yeah, man, you got to adapt and fly. So I don't know. I don't think a box and one is going to be something that they're going to run. But I definitely think they've realised that Kemba is the point of attack. He's the starter kind of thing, starter, the initiator for their offense. And then obviously you've got guys like Tatum who can just flat out score and just create his own shot at will. Same as Kemba. But Jaylen Brown, not so much. I feel like
Jaylen doesn't have the footwork, finesse, skill set. He's just more of an athletic skill set.
Yeah, it's sort of like he's better in transition and spotting up for threes. Like he's actually improved a shitload as a 3-point shooter, and he actually scares you. He's not going to step back, break anyone's ankles, step back 3 or anything, but just in trans when you've got lots of options to worry about. Kemba coming downhill, Tatum, and then Jaylen Brown spotting up in the corner, or he comes off a fucking 45 or something. Bang, that's a good shot. And shit, I've just lost my train of thought.
Well, all right, fair enough. Who do you think are going to sort of be like the key players? Like we've sort of alluded to it a bit, like discussing the players and matchup stuff. But who do you think are going to be like the key sort of 4 or 5 players in this series, like most important guys to their team?
Well, I would say the top 5 most talented players. I'm a bit biased. I'm happy to sort of negotiate between 1 and 2, but for me, I'm going to put Jimmy Butler as the most talented player in the series in terms of Tatum's obviously ascending to a superstar
Tatum's
level.
On track to overtake him.
Yeah, Tatum's on
the
track.
Runs need to be on the board.
What Jimmy's done in terms of impact on the game, these playoffs and everything, it's ridiculous.
Jimmy's got the runs on the board.
Jimmy's got the runs, but I mean, talent-wise, I'm only talking about these playoffs, not every season before or anything like that. Literally what has happened in the bubble. I'm going Jimmy Butler 1, Tatum at 2, Bam at 3, and then I mean, you can either have, I'd probably put Kemba, and then Goran Dragic can leave Jaylen Brown out.
Ooh, I couldn't leave Jaylen out myself. I'd
That's
play it probably
fine.
the same 3 the way you did it, because I'd give Jimmy the slight chockies because of
just what he's done.
Yeah.
Done to the Bucks and everything like that.
Yeah, and like even though you said it's purely this playoffs, like that's close enough where I'll rely on the historical evidence to back Jimmy and over Tatum at this point, feeling like it's close enough at that point.
Yeah.
And then I'm sort of at, it's Tatum 2. I'd Bam 3, can't argue that. I'd have Jaylen at the 4th best guy, like, because the defensive factor, like, he's just a much better defender than either Kemba or Goran.
I did actually.
And then at the 5 spot was sort of like between Kemba and Goran, obviously. Like, Goran's probably playing slightly better these playoffs, like, statistically. But,
boy.
Like, for me, it's close enough for me to, again, go to that runs on the board factor and give Kemba the slight edge, but I will acknowledge that Goran's probably outperformed him specifically.
Yeah, Goran's averaging about 21, 6 and 4.
Shooting better. Like, the
Shooting
thing
like
is, Kemba was
47,
shooting only like
38.
28% from deep. Goran's shooting like 38. Like, if Kemba wasn't struggling from deep, it wouldn't be a combo, but if Kemba wasn't struggling from deep, his points would probably be at the level of Goran's.
It's tough to leave Marcus Smart out there as well, the way he's playing.
Especially two-way player, like, because I gave
player.
Jaylen the edge over those two because of defense, and Marcus Smart's the best defender in the series, probably, except maybe for Bam.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
Jimmy.
No, I think Marcus Smart could be the best defender in the I think Bam's obviously a lot more versatile, but Marcus Smart, like, I know we said in the bubble alone, but, like, obviously his experience through the playoffs and other things, he's a lot more seasoned on the defensive end. Yeah. Like, it's just, I think he's one of the 5 best defensive players in the league right now. He deserved all first team.
Bloody oath.
It wasn't even in my pick though before, but the way Marcus Smart's been playing, it's tough to leave him out.
He's an honourable mention for sure.
I left Jaylen Brown out. Just he's been too inconsistent. Like with Goran and Kemba, they've sort of both been. If it wasn't for the Toronto series box and 1 and just sort of really chiming in on him, it's really hard for him. But like Goran has just been ridiculous. Like, he's easily the 2nd best player on the Heat in terms of like scoring out. But I wouldn't say impact. I think Bam's switching 1 to 5 every time Goran gets caught in a pick and roll. Bam's switching onto the point guard,
and Bam's like never.
And Bam can lock him down. Like, it's not.
Bam's a guy that impacts the game in a way that doesn't impact like
statistics and stuff like that. Like, every time his plus minus is always off the chart, and everything else is just unreal. But we'll go back onto more specific matchups here. So like throughout the game, just sort of match up in terms of the team, what they like to do. So, like, how they defend things, and I'll let you start with that.
I was to say, who do you sort of like? Would the Heat throw like Crowder at Tatum rather than like?
All right, so okay, I'll
because I was say, do the Heat? Because Jimmy doesn't start on the best. He'll go to him. He'll go stick me on him, but he won't necessarily start there. Is that how it works out?
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is I'll start from the most important sort of match. I think it'll be Jay Crowder, Jason Tatum.
Yep. Okay. Yep. We agree there.
Yeah. So Jay Crowder's I think he's just the right matchup. Like, Tatum,
he's a bit longer than.
He's a bit longer, but Jay's just going to body him, keep him out of the paint a bit.
I meant as in Jay's a bit longer than Jimmy in terms of sticking Jay on Tatum rather than Jimmy on Tatum.
I don't think Jay is longer than Jimmy. No, sorry, I think Jay is longer than Jimmy.
That's what I'm saying.
No, sorry, wait, no. I don't think, in terms of wingspan and everything,
Shit.
not sure, I'd have to look it up, but I just don't think. But in terms of the girth and everything, he's definitely a stronger matchup. I think you try and hike, because I think you'd almost put Jimmy on Kemba.
Yeah.
Kemba.
Yep, that's
Jimmy on Kemba.
Because you were saying you didn't want Goran on him before.
You don't want Goran. Like, you can hide Goran on Marcus Smart or, to an extent, Jaylen Brown. Now, bear with me, because you're either going to have Duncan on Jaylen Brown or Duncan on Marcus Smart. I don't know what you want to do. Doesn't really matter either way. But I reckon if the way you're going to lose a game is Jaylen Brown isolation possessions, Jaylen Brown high post, I would happily lose that game.
Yeah,
if that's the way you're gonna lose. If they go, Jaylen Brown's got Goran Dragic on him, Jaylen Brown's got Duncan Robinson on him, like, I reckon you'd happily, if you're the Heat, you go ahead. As long as it's not a Kemba Walker pick and roll, a Jason Tatum pick and roll, I'm happy with that.
Thing is, even if it's like Jaylen Brown having a monster game, like a monster game for Jaylen Brown, the highest peak for that would be like a 40, 45 point game. Like, even if he's scoring 45 points and you doing a pretty good job on Tatum and Kemba,
exactly,
they're struggling to win. But like, if you let Tatum or Kemba off the chain, they can sort of probably score.
They create a lot more for others.
Yeah,
and they create.
They'll get that 45-50 as well
for Jaylen Brown as well. Like, that's what I mean.
In their process of getting more, they'd probably get more than that 40-45 as well.
Those two sort of create as well as score for themselves. Jaylen Brown's a scorer, but he needs someone to sort of create for him or get him the ball in these sweet spots, like wherever it is. So that's what I mean. If isolation Jaylen Brown's the way you're going to lose, I'm more than
that's what I'm saying. The peak for that's 45 points and no one else doing that well. If it's like Jaylen not Jaylen, Jason or Kemba going off,
especially Tatum's really improved his facilitating.
Because you'll double, like if it's Kemba or Tatum going off, there's more likely to be the double coming. Like,
I don't think you're going to double. I think with Bam Adebayo, you should be fine. Because he's that quick on his feet. Like you were saying before, like you almost said he was the best of. He's definitely up there with Marcus Smart in terms of the best defender. He covers a lot of ground off a pick and roll. Like, he might do a hard show or a soft show, depending on what Spoelstra wants to run. I don't know exactly what they're going to do to him, but like,
game to game. That's
what I mean. To see how hot, who's doing what, but Bam doesn't sort of need to fully commit to a double team. He can track him off enough and then recover back to Tice to stop pick and rolls. Because as much as we talk about Bam, Tice is also quite quick on his feet. Like, and he's not going to blow you away. But
he's a bit of a poor man's Bam, almost, Tice.
A very poor man's Bam.
Defensively, I'm more saying than offensively.
But
defensively,
similar play styles, runs the floor really well, bit undersized at the big, gets it in just... he's not facing up anyone, but on the pick and rolls, he's quick on his feet, rolls, gets lobs, gets dunks, gets O-boards. Very similar sort of game. So I'm sort of like, as much as we say that, he can recover back, but you've also got to worry about the Tice pick and roll. But then the Heat always drill in help defense. Like, you'll have Jay Crowder or whoever the other person is. So you have Duncan. Duncan's not bad at it, and Tyler's getting a lot better at it. But just waiting there, so that role you can sort of pick up high. Maybe it might detract Tice a bit, and he might start popping, because he also likes to shoot a few threes. Daniel Tice. But
great first name.
Yeah. Daniel Tice, but I think with Bam, you should be alright. I don't think you need a double on pick and rolls or anything like that. I think you'll be fine. But that's just my opinion. You have to see what Spoelstra runs and stuff. But that's
I was more saying that to sort of get the point. Like, those are the sort of guys where if they're having that impact, you double and they sort someone else. Like you have to stop them from doing that, and then you get those other looks that you alluded to. That's sort of where I was getting.
Yeah, that's like they're more adaptations at the end of the game. Like, if Tatum's got 40 or something,
that's what I'm saying.
You're probably going to get the ball out of his hands. And then in the same respect, like
that's what I'm saying. With you wouldn't do that to Jalen, you'd do that to those two. That's
if it calls for it. Like, in the same respect, like, I feel like the Heat will rotate out quick enough, like with Bam, that they could commit to a double. As soon as it leaves Tatum's hands, you can scramble back and you'll be okay. But yeah, that's probably, like, in terms of my matchups. Anything different you had there? Like,
I'd pretty much agree with it. Do you think that, like, I was sort of just having the thought, do you think there's a player, like, not necessarily like a star player, like a role player that sort of could be used to have an impact, like I sort of half had the thought like you could give like Kelly O some minutes just to like really stretch Boston's defense out or whatever.
Kelly always plays well against Boston. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was just sort of saying. Like that random player, if it's like
Kelly,
in a position like his skill set has the potential to sort of throw Boston out. Like Daniel Tice,
he just loves getting buckets against Boston. Just loves getting buckets against Boston. But I think you're definitely onto something. I think Kelly's minutes are going to see a big jump. I still think
Do you think Kelly could be that player as well, or do you think there's someone else?
He's not going to
like that role player that sort of steps. Yeah,
it depends on the game because like. I think Spoelstra's going to shorten his rotation a fair bit. I think your locks off the bench for the Heat: Tyler Hero, Iggy, Kelly, and like you sort of have Kendrick Nunn's only. He was second in Rookie of the Year. He's only playing about 10, 15 minutes a game, and you're sort of seeing like who's the odd man out between him and Derek Jones Jr. I think Derek Jones could get a fair bit of run this series. I don't know, just for wing defenders in terms of what we alluded to before and the depth on the wing.
How does he go as a wing defender?
Derek Jones.
He's sort of like that 3-4. He sort of has to defend some bigger guys. I haven't seen him too much as a perimeter on like guards or whatever.
Oh, he was our zone. Like he was our point of attack zone creator during the regular season when we didn't have Iggy or Jay Crowder because our players were all one side. We had rookie Tyler Hero, rookie Duncan Robinson essentially. I don't count last year, and they couldn't defend a paper bag. So it was like we used to have to go to a zone and we pretty much relied on Jimmy and Derek Jones Jr. at the top just
because he has the tools for sure. I just wasn't sure how much he had the capacity to apply them like
he's a great defender.
Yeah,
he's a great defender. But so I think in terms of that, I think Tyler Hero's been pretty consistent this playoff. So I wouldn't say he's going to be the breakout role player. I think he's going to do what he does.
Like, also, I didn't mean it as like a breakout, so I meant which role player is going to be like the key guy that like can impact the series.
I think it's going to be Kill. That's what I mean. So not a breakout, like he's not going to play crazy.
Play above what they're
he's
going
to play really above, well. Like I said, Tyler Hero's been pretty consistent throughout these players, so I wouldn't say like he's going to, because what he's doing, he's pretty much been doing. But Kelly O, I think, is going to be that player, like you said. I think he'll draw Tice out. And
it's hard for me to say anyone on the Celtics playing that sort of role. Like Ben, everyone, they've got their 7 or 8 guys. Like they don't really have a guy that's going to like
8, mate. They
don't have that 7. X factor that they can stick in that's going to give you something different that people aren't.
The only X factor would be if Gordon Hayward comes back.
Yeah.
And then you've either got Marcus Smart off the bench or Gordon Hayward. I think it would be Gordon Hayward to start, and you just sort of got to see what you get because he was playing really well, but then he's coming back off a sprained ankle.
You ride Smart while he's playing well. You don't chuck Hayward in the deep end.
You're right, but in terms of that, what are your final predictions then?
I was about to ask that.
We've covered in and around sort of everything. It's sort of we've been going back and forth a bit. Just
I haven't actually picked it yet, though, have we?
No, I haven't actually picked it. You go.
Yeah, she's a tough little series. Like on paper, you sort of go, Boston's got the more sort of talent, but like structurally, the way Miami can attack him and stuff, it's sort of like
it's a tough one, mate.
Bam's like Tice is a solid defender, but Bam's sort of winning that matchup.
All defensive. Yeah, Bam's he's an all defensive team.
Yeah, like I mean, even you could exploit that offensively almost.
Oh yeah, so I think
like Bam, you can exploit that Bam matchup pretty well. Like
I think this is Bam's series. This is his series. Like I think what you said about X Factor as a role player, he's going to be the X Factor as a starter. Right. Whether he needs to put up about 20 and 15. If you've got Daniel Tice on you, not Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo this season, like you need to level up. Like I think what I've been hearing on like Zoom calls and stuff, not me personally, the Zoom obviously.
You're just like, in the Zoom calls with the boys.
on Bleacher Report, he's ready for this matchup. He's dialed in. I mean, obviously he's always going to be dialed in, but from what he's saying and stuff, he seems really focused. He's even said himself he's gonna come out and be a lot more aggressive. He's gonna do what he does. Like he obviously recognises Daniel Tice. He's been in the film room with Spo a lot. In terms of one-on-one, looking at the matchup, and then Spo's obviously encouraging him, going like,
you can attack him in this manner. You can attack
especially
him.
Like with his facilitating as well. Like if he breaks it, it's sort of like not the Jaylen Brown isolation thing, but it's like even if it's just a few times a game or anything, just giving the ball high post, even on sort of let him catch it face up. He's shot the mid range a lot more because it opens up for everyone else. But then if he beats him, he's that good a facilitator, and the Heat are probably the best cutting team in the league. Brad Stevens said that as well. Like that he can drop off to a cutter or kick out to an open shooter. Obviously, we have Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic. So I think there'll be a lot of work out of that as well. So I think he's going to be the biggest X factor in terms of star power.
Yeah, because you'd sort of try and like keep like their like stick like whoever Marcus Smart on, sort of almost have them hide in the corner on the weak side or whatever, just sort of keep like the guys like Marcus Smart,
the Gorans or the Tylers or the Duncan or whatever.
Yeah, but Marcus Smart would probably be checking whoever's. He'd be checking like Goran probably.
I think
probably a bit of Jimmy. I could see Marcus going to Jimmy a little bit in patches if they.
Marcus Smart's going to be everywhere. He's going to be a little irritant,
Smart.
mate. He's going to be a little irritant.
He's going to be everywhere, but he's actually going to be doing something unlike Pat Beverley when he's everywhere.
Stop it.
Pew, pew, shots fired.
But yeah, so you still didn't give me your final prediction there.
Oh yeah, I was sort of dancing around a bit. I sort of starting to get into like Bam. If they can feed Bam and exploit that matchup, I'd probably give the edge to the Heat. But I think it'll be like a real tight competitive series, 6 or 7 sort of thing. But I'd probably say your boys scrape through.
Oh, man, that's good. Yeah. I am also going to predict Miami in 7. I think this is going to be a real nice test for the Heat. Like, we sort of breeze through. I think it's going to be a bigger test for Milwaukee, despite the fact Milwaukee in terms of the matchup, we always match up really well with Milwaukee. Like, we didn't match up well at all before Boston. The Iggy and Jay Crowder, because we had no fucking wing defenders. But now I'm really excited for it, and it can go either or both ways. Just a lot of stuff's going to be riding. How well the bench performs, what limited bench production Boston's going to get, how good Jason Tatum is, like how close is he to superstardom if he's not there already. Yeah. How consistent Jaylen Brown's going to be if Marcus Smart can continue his his sort of, he's shooting 55% in the playoffs from 3. That's fucked.
Yeah, it's hard to sustain.
And then the biggest X factor for Boston, Gordon Hayward. Whether he comes back or not.
But even if he does, like, it's one of those ones I don't know how much of an impact he could have. I couldn't see him impacting too much, even if he does come back pretty healthy. Like, I don't think he's going to be the difference sort of thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, because even if he does come back, he's going to be dealing with like an Iggy or a Jay Crowder or someone like that on him.
Defensively.
Like,
but
he's not just going to have free reign to do whatever the hell he wants.
No, he's still going to have. He's still another option for him though. I'm pretty much cut it off there anyway. That was a fucking long discussion.
So that's good. Well, we're pretty happy with this. We'll go out west, I suppose.
Do your clap thing.
No, we'll do this as one continuous potty.
All right, you're going to have to edit it now.
Yeah.
I've said it. We can edit this bit out, but...
Oh, fine. Yeah.
Moving on to the...
Moving out west. We've still got to determine who's going to be playing the Lakers, but... There's 2 versions of the same thing. We can sort of go through them both, I guess.
There's 2 versions. We can
We'll talk about the Lakers first because they're the one we know.
You start us off with the Lakers, mate.
Obviously, like it's going to be interesting either team they play. I think because either way, their opposition's going to have exploitable matchups. I feel not exploitable, but like they're going to be able to attack the Lakers in ways that they might be a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like AD and like Joker's. Certainly AD is as good as anyone in terms of containing Joker, but like, he'll still have like, unless you doubt, like he'll still have that ability to pass and do all that sort of stuff, and at least keep Anthony Davis occupied. Like,
you can't just keep him focused on the defensive end.
You can't just let Anthony Davis run around putting buckets on your head, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then whereas if it's the Clippers, obviously Kawhi and Paul George, 2 of the best wings in the league. Like the Lakers, barring LeBron, aren't exactly insanely deep at the wing, sort of thing. Like.
No.
You'll be relying a lot on like a Markieff Morris. You'll be relying on KCP a lot, Danny Green, those sort of dudes.
And Marcus matched up.
Oh yeah, the brothers.
We'll get into a few scuffles, I reckon. Those 2.
Yeah, bloody. I was reading something the other day. It was a little side note. I was like, apparently people reckon Kawhi, like every time he sees like Marcus Morris or something getting a scuffle, just the look on his face is just like. Ugh.
Yeah, we'll stand because Marcus Morris is just one of those.
Yeah.
Tough guys.
The dogs. We've got some dogs on this Clippers team, man. They've got all the dogs, man, on the Clippers, man. They're all dogs.
He's picking on a 20-year-old Luka Doncic.
Yeah, man, but they're a bunch of dogs on the Clippers, man. I'm cheering for Denver.
Look, personally, I'm cheering for Denver as well, just because all I've heard from the Clippers is them talk a lot of shit about everything because they beat the Lakers, but it's like...
They've had a shit attitude all year.
Yeah, it's like you actually have to get to the Lakers first.
Yeah.
Like you can't just say, we're already there. Talking for an organization that doesn't really have the championships to back it up because they've got none.
They might have yet another second round choke job.
Yeah,
the Clippers
exactly.
special.
Like standard.
And thing is, like, you look at the Clippers, like, their third and fourth best players are not suited to playoff basketball. Well, Lou Williams sort of is, but Montrezl Harrell is not suited for playoffs at all, really. Like, to produce like the way people expect him to produce, I don't think.
Yeah, not...
Especially in this current series especially, but I think even generally for Montrez, I don't really...
Yeah, just because it's more half-court set,
exactly.
not transition. Yeah, no, I'm with you there, but he also gets a lot of energy points. So, like, he's that guy banging down low, O-boards, putbacks.
Yeah. But how much impact is... He hasn't been able to do that, like...
Defensively.
Whenever he's been on the court, they've looked shitter in this Denver series.
Oh, I haven't focused that much.
Zubac does such a better job on Joker compared to, like, Trez. Like, when they trying to play Trez at the 5, Joker's eyes just light up. He's just like barbecue chicken.
Yeah, I think that's just because of the player Jokic is. Like...
But AD's going to do the same thing to him.
No, that's why I think it's because Trez is obviously undersized. So Jokic can see right over him, which, remember I brought up in the first one, I was like, if you want to stop, you don't mind if you're losing to Denver and Jokic is scoring 40 a game, but only 3 assists.
Yeah.
I think you want to stop him from creating for everyone else. And I think Zubac obviously has the length and the height to sort of stop him. So, as soon as he gets Trez in the post, like he's sort of like, cut, and then he's going to throw some unorthodox...
He's either scoring or he can see over Trez.
Yeah, that's what some unorthodox hook. He's got a very high release point, and his shots sort of like over the back.
It's hard to block.
Trez isn't really going to get it, but if you got to get a hand up, if you're a long guy like Zubac or AD, I think you're fine. And like Jokic isn't going to blow you away with sheer athleticism. Obviously, he's not going to beat you off the dribble or anything. So I think Zubac is probably a better matchup for Trez than Trez.
I think Trez is a bad matchup in this series in particular, but still don't rate him as a playoff contributor. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. I just think like it's obviously just the half court set and the lack of transition, but you still want him out on the floor. Like, I mean, he's not as good as he was in the regular season, but I still think
I don't know if I'd want him out depending on matchups.
Okay, depending on matchups.
Depending on matchups, I wouldn't want him in my closing lineup. I don't think. Like, if you're versing like a real small ball team, by all means, play him at the 5. You get away with it. But
he's definitely debatable in the closing line. I think you pretty much have your 3 guaranteed players in the closing lineup for the Clippers.
Yeah.
Paul George, Kawhi, Lou Will. Lemon Pepper Lou.
He's trademarked. I was going to say trademark that shit.
Trademark. But I think the other 2 slots are up, like open for debate, of course.
Probably Marcus Morris.
Marcus Morris.
One of their better contributors.
Like you said, depends small ball.
Yeah.
And then it's Trez or Zubac, pretty much. Zubac,
Or even a Pat Bev or something if they've gone.
Don't get me started, man. 17 ball defense, plays fucking 25 minutes a game, fouls out half of them.
Yeah, I don't rate that fucking crackhead at this point.
Nah. But,
which team do you, like, I had a guess, who do you think's first in the Lakers? Who do you think's getting this game 7 and first in the Lakers? Conventional wisdom probably says the Clippers.
The Clippers, but I just pray to God, damn.
Yeah.
I don't want to justify the Clippers have been this notorious franchise that speak like they've done all this stuff. Yeah. Even when they have Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, they still talk about...
They're far too cocky for a team that's in a town where no one gives a shit about them.
Exactly. Like, it's
you're
like
in a town where no one gives a fuck about you and
like,
you're carrying on like fucking pork chop. Shut the fuck up.
Steve Ballmer's gone on about they bought the old Lakers facility. They're going to move over there. It's like, mate, like...
Whoop-de-doo. Steve Ballmer could buy every team in the fucking league if he wanted.
Exactly.
I was actually reading something before where someone was crunching the numbers. He has like the net worth probably to buy every team in the league.
No, he's rich as fuck.
Yeah.
But like then you've got like Doc Rivers is one. He can speak, but then you've got him saying...
But even Doc's had some dubious history in playoff chokes. Apparently, if they blow this Game 7, Doc Rivers will be responsible for 23% of all Game 7 3-1 blowjobs. So almost a quarter of 3-1 leads that have been blown will be Doc Rivers coach teams.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Like he had one back in Orlando back in the day.
But like I remember throughout the season when he made that comment on LeBron. And it was he was like, I don't know about the Lakers. They just do whatever LeBron says, whatever LeBron tells them to do. And it's like, I mean, to an extent it's true, but it's like
it's certainly
the sheer hypocrisy It was like Kawhi Leonard comes to you and goes, "Get me Paul George." They trade away the whole fucking house for him. It's like,
and now
so
it could bite them in the ass, especially if they lose in the second round.
So what? The Clippers don't do what Kawhi says. It's just same thing.
If the Clippers don't do what Kawhi says, they're still same
like,
team.
I only want to play 50 games in a season. Yeah, don't worry about that, Kawhi. You can chill.
Yeah, bro. You can go to the titty bar when you want, Kawhi.
I don't know what Doc Rivers is talking about there, but just that, like, not just at Doc Rivers specifically, Pat Bev always talking in the media like he's this and that.
That guy gives me the shits.
Yeah, like, LeBron had this on you so much. Do you think it's a challenge or what? I can't remember the exact. He's like, not a challenge. And I was like, he had 40 points on you. What do you mean?
Yeah, he chirps a lot for some cunt that barely got out of Europe.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's just our back, the context into there. But
it's as another little side note with Pat Bev, it's fucking hilarious how he always tries to bag out European players. But that's where he made his whole career, playing in Europe, because he wasn't fucking good enough to make the NBA until he was 30 or however fucking old he was. So shut the fuck up, Pat Bev.
When he barked at Steph, you had the last 5 years, now give me these next 5.
You ain't done shit with them so far, Pat.
You remember Steph
You're getting knocked out in the second round, son.
You remember Steph Curry just laughing at him when he said that at the start of this year?
Yeah.
It was like he even talks now. He talks a lot more now that he's got Paul George, Kawhi Leonard on his fucking team. I can tell you that much. But I do have, as much as I hate to say it, I have a feeling just the Kawhi Leonard, like the experience, the championship pedigree. I think his will, and as much as playoff P's choking and stuff, he still has good games. I'm the first one to bag out Paul George, but he has had some good games. He's very inconsistent, but like he's a player. Like he's a player.
He's a player, but he's a player.
When he was in Indiana and stuff, he was putting up great numbers. Like I don't know what's going on with him now, but I think backs against the wall. I think he's going to come through, and he'll have. I'm not sure it's not going to be a 30-point 20, but he's not going to be a 10, 3-3 or something.
Not a Westbrook in an elimination.
Yeah, not a Westbrook. Yeah. And then, like, Lou Will, he's there. Yeah. Lou Will's baller, man. Like, took the last year when the Clippers were the 8th seed versus the Warriors.
When KD
took
was
them
healthy.
to 6 games and against a fully healthy Warriors team. I mean, that's also probably a little bit of the Warriors just versing the 8th seed. But, I mean, it's still impressive nonetheless with the squad that they had.
Yeah. And like, that was I liked that team last year they had. It was like a well constructed. Like, they played for each other. Like, there was no star. Like, it was good team basketball. Like, these days,
no one chirping in the fucking media.
These days, it's a bunch of fucking egomaniacs, bloody talking shit.
And everyone sort of adopted that. But I just think the Clippers will probably win it and go on to face the Lakers.
Yeah, realistically.
So we'll talk about Denver Lakers just in case it happens. I think it could. It's look, I'm not.
I want it to happen. It's definitely. I think it could definitely happen. Like,
it's just this is what I'm leaning towards. So I'm not saying
because it's only one game. So the Joker, your Joker leaving for Jamal Murray, but your Joker for 40 points thing, like in one game, him scoring you that 40 or whatever can win you that game. But in a 7-game series, it's a different thing. But for one game only, like
it's a different entity. Yeah,
for sure.
I think the Lakers definitely want to play Denver more than they want to play the Clippers. Just because, like you alluded to before, the lack of depth at the wing for defending wing players like Kawhi and Paul George. But I think the big inclusion, playoff Rondo.
Yeah.
He came back. He injected
He's
life.
given them that second playmaker that they were crying for.
Unbelievable. Like, they needed it without Avery Bradley, without everyone that they've sort of lost.
But even with Avery Bradley, he's not he wasn't like that sort of penetrate playmaker.
Depth at guard is what they needed, like, because LeBron was obviously playing full-time point guard, full-time everywhere pretty much. So I think
Caruso's closing for him.
Yeah, Caruso, fucking big shot. And he blocked what was it? Someone.
He's a man who does his job.
James Harden.
I love that man. Nice, he does his job for sure.
Caruso.
And he's a bloody class act. Even with this whole bubble stuff, he was skip stuff, and like he did the right thing by the team. Like, compare that to like Lou going to fucking Magic City or whatever, that sort of thing.
That's speaking to the ego and the fucking cockiness. It's like the Lakers are strictly business right now. But
that's why I'm currently in my fuck the Clippers thing, even though I love me some Kawhi.
Just keep getting drawn back to the fuck Clippers.
I love Kawhi.
The hatred.
I
of the
do
Clippers.
love Kawhi though.
But I think the Lakers want to see Denver.
Yeah. Because AD can handle Joker as well as anyone in the league's handling.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
Jamal Murray is the only perimeter serious threat they have to stop, and they've got enough bodies to throw at him.
LeBron should be able to rest enough on defense to where he can just take over offensively, just run the show. And then we all know LeBron James playoffs
And the thing is, though, even with my point with the AD Joker matchup, offensively you can exploit that. Like AD scoring on Joker,
because he's like Bam's like AD light in terms of. Obviously, he doesn't have the offensive arsenal, nowhere near the offensive, but the face up, the foot speed, everything about it. Like
dribble pull up, like AD
eat Jokic alive. And look, Jokic is a big boy. Everyone made he lost a fair bit of weight, but he's still not the fittest player in the NBA.
That's never been. Even if he was fit, that wouldn't be his game. That's the thing.
He's not his game. But I mean, AD is going to make him work defensively, and he's not going to be as it's going to wear him out offensively.
For sure.
And then especially with AD checking him at the other end. And then you've got Keith, obviously. Keith's playing well.
Do you think the Lakers would go back to a more traditional lineup now that they're no longer playing the small ball Houston Rockets, where they'd go back to like a JaVale?
Yeah, I think JaVale would start. I thought he was still starting.
This whole Houston series, they went, Keith and AD at the 5.
At the 4?
Yeah, they're playing AD at the 5 against the small ball Rockets. It obviously made sense, but...
Yeah, obviously, it made sense.
It'd be interesting to see if they go back to that more traditional 2 big.
I think they will.
It probably, again, depends who gets through, I guess.
It depends. Obviously, against Denver, I could almost see AD still playing the 5 and put Keith on Millsap.
Yeah, that'd be a nice.
I think that's even more realistic. Yeah. Unless you want to, it depends how. It really depends what AD's feeling. Like if AD goes, I'll play on Jokic full time. I think he should take that challenge. But if not, you still got to get JaVale minutes and stuff.
Yeah, because JaVale and Dwight have pretty much sat the whole series against Houston.
Well, get those mans out there, man. Yeah. Get the mans out there. But then, the wings, you've still got like Gary Harris.
Yep.
Torrey Craig. Then, you've still
Monte
got
Morris.
Monte Morris. I like Monte. But it's just you don't like their depth at wing, like you said. Like I think they're a lot better suited to guarding Jamal Murray and Jokic than they are a depth of fucking plethora of wings like Lou Will, Kawhi, Paul George.
Marcus Morris even. He was getting 20 a game for the Knicks before he got...
Sorry, Marcus Morris as well. But
Reggie Jackson, even if they give him minutes.
Yeah, Reggie.
I've got bodies, the Clippers. I'll give them that.
Yeah, exactly. They've got bodies. And then they obviously want to prey on the Denver Nuggets' inexperience. Yeah. Obviously, still a young team.
Every series they've ever played in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's like
seven-game series.
7-game series. But, I mean, they've come back. Yeah. If they come back from this one, they'll be the second 3-1 matchup. And the Lakers
they did that every round. And they go down 3-1 all the way to the finals and win. That'd be hilarious.
The Lakers are really well rested as well. I think if it was Denver, it would be a quick dispatch in 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I think just in terms of sheer willpower of LeBron James, he just seems to have levels, man. Just levels. That first round.
And the thing
series,
is, no one in Denver stopping LeBron.
No. I think Torrey Craig's probably the closest you're going to get,
and Torrey Craig's not stopping LeBron.
No, Torrey Craig's not stopping. I mean, sorry, not the closest you're going to get, but he's
the best.
He's the best option they've got.
Yeah. And a few years ago, he was guarding Bryce Cotton and fucking Melo Trimble on the perimeter down here, down under.
But like you said, no one's stopping LeBron, and LeBron just seems to have levels. First round series had that first feel-out game. It was a triple-double, but for him, it was like 17, 16, 15. It was sort of like he was still feeling it out, and then they won 4-1.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing, first game. Oh, wait, didn't he have a big first game against Houston?
Think so.
It was game 2.
He had a big half in one of those Houston games. We had 30 at the half.
It was game 2. And then, like I said, he sort of has that feel-out game, and then just goes, nah, it's over. Yeah. And goes 4-1. So, I just trust him too much. And then AD's, I made that hot take at the start, our playoff predictions. I said AD could be the finals MVP. If they get to the finals and obviously win, I think AD will probably be the finals MVP. They could be on.
Probably depends on who wins out of the East.
Matchup wise. But I think just AD's been that good in the playoffs. It can happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But we can move on to the Clippers matchup.
Possibility. Yep.
Yeah,
the Clipper possibility.
Pray to God, no.
Yep.
But I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
That series would definitely go longer than a hypothetical Denver series.
That's a 7er.
Just based on the fact of the narrative and everything, those two teams aren't going to...
Exactly. And the Clippers always get up to play the Lakers. That's what I mean. That's what they've been focused on, but they need to get there first and stop talking shit.
Yeah.
But, so...
In terms of that matchup, I'd probably... a lot of people lean towards the Clippers and have all year.
Yeah.
I'm probably a bit more towards the like. It's definitely a seesaw. Like I could see it going every way. Like I don't feel confident picking every way, but if I had to, I'd lean a bit towards the Lakers.
Yeah.
Sort of like because I feel like AD is probably the guy that can exploit what's given to him the most out of those four top 10-ish guys.
He needs to average 30 a game. Yeah. If that versing the Clippers,
and he's extremely capable of doing that.
Yeah,
because that's the thing. He could average 40 against the Clippers if he wanted.
I hope he does.
Hopefully he gets to a point where they have to try and stick like a Paul George or something on him. Like.
But then, like, I reckon the same way sort of we talked about before, if you're the Clippers and it's like AD scoring 40 a game but LeBron's completely taken out of the game, I think you take that if you're the Clippers. Again, same sort of thing because LeBron impacts the game and you sort of want LeBron going, leading the charge, pick and rolls with AD, getting people involved and getting his own buckets at the same time. If it's just AD isolation on the low block and he's scoring 40 and you're like you're sort of like, man, we'll live with that. Like completely took LeBron out the game. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. But like, I think he'll probably average around 30 and fucking 12. I don't know. He's a freak.
It's AD. He don't fuck around.
But Kawhi has been the best player in these playoffs. The whole I would say
Kawhi's game's perfectly built for playoffs. Though. That's the
half court.
He's just got that mid-range pull-up. You need that mid-range pull-up your game. You need
Michael
that
Jordan-esque from the high post, turn around, back you down.
High posty, You need all that.
He's
you need
built
that
for
bag.
The half court, mate. He's built for the half.
You need
court.
that bag of tricks in the playoffs.
And then you got PG there kicking out. You got shooters on the Clippers. Landry Shamet.
Yeah, Landry. I love me some Landry Shamet.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been shooting that well or not, but
last game I saw him and he hit a couple of shots, but I think he's been. I think he was injured. Was he?
I think he was for a while. He wasn't playing.
Yeah. I don't think he's played the whole playoffs, but I saw him one of the last games I was watching and he looked pretty good. Yeah, he's still a very good defender as well, Landry Shamet.
Yeah, Landry Shamet's nice.
I'd love me some Landry Shamet.
I mean, he's not that big, but he plays real hard.
Yeah, I'd love this is a little side note again, but I'd love to get him as a backup guy at Golden State. He'd be great at the shooting, the defense, all that shit. Be lovely.
Good luck, mate.
Yeah, mate. The Clippers need picks, mate. We'll give them a couple of second rounders for it.
Yeah, good luck.
Especially if they lose in the second round and Kawhi and PG crack the shits.
Oh, they're not going until next year, mate. Yeah. That's if they go. But what do you call it? Shamet. You've also got the ultimate closer in Lou Will. But he's built to close games. He's just ISO ball, bang bang. Because Kawhi or PG aren't especially PG to an extent, aren't great closers. In terms of Kawhi's a great closer, but I think you sort of have the ball in the hands of Lou Will. Maybe run a pick and roll with Kawhi. And then maybe you can get Kawhi to a split. So he will either pop to the high post or pop out for a spot up three.
Well, even if you do something like that to get Kawhi to go into a position to get in the ball, if it's a spot on the 45 that he likes to score from or rather than have him initiate.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Is that sort of what you're getting at? Kawhi,
I think
have Lou dribble and do all that bullshit and
the
feed
ball
Kawhi.
being Lou in the fourth quarter, the ball's in Lou Will's hands, but can end up in Kawhi Leonard in his sweet spots.
That's what I'd be trying to design. Lou Will, if he sees an opportunity to score, take it, but the play would be designed to get Kawhi in his sweet spot on the high post or
exactly,
or
a spot up three or something like that. Yeah, Kawhi, like I said, he's been the best player in the playoffs. It would be stupid to go away from him in the
because he's a guy that can score from those spots. But as I said, he can initiate and score.
Yeah, he can.
He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
He's a better playmaker. He's a better playmaker, but I reckon he's better off as a scorer. And you got Lou Will. Lou Will's a better playmaker than he is a spot up shooter.
Yeah, more almost kind of how you'd set up a Carmelo Anthony, how you sort of give him that midpoint where he just does Carmelo shit.
Get him into his spots. Yeah, get him into his spots that he enjoys.
For sure.
But I would sort of lean towards the Lakers as well. Just I'm a little bit biased, big LeBron James fan. But every time you count LeBron out, he just goes. And everyone sort of says Kawhi Leonard's the best player in the world. He's playing like the best player in the world, but he beat Golden State without. It was literally the Steph Curry show. He still had a great series and everything. That's all good.
You can't hold it against him for doing what he had to do. Sort of thing, but
let's not act like he beat the dynasty that is the Warriors. It was like when the Warriors beat the Cavs when it was LeBron and Dellavedova. Come on. That was literally the reverse thing. I remember telling you, I was like, it's about time. But
It's tough because there's usually those sort of arguments you can make any given year. Like even a few
Yeah.
years ago, that Houston Game 7 with Golden
I
State.
brought that one to you too.
Yeah, like stuff like that. You can always there's always going to be an argument like that.
Yeah. But I'm just leaning. I'd probably say, I reckon it can go Lakers in 7 or Clippers in 6. So I don't think the Lakers are going to win in 6. I think the Lakers are going to drag it out to 7. But if the Clips are just too overwhelming, I think they'll win in 6. That's just me.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Clips will win in 7. If it gets to 7 games, LeBron James facing elimination, ridiculous. Like,
And
we talked about the stats before. He scores 9 points more than his average, in elimination games, and he's ridiculous in them. And so I think if the Lakers can get it to a game 7,
they're the favourite.
they're the favourites. But if the Clippers are just too overwhelming and LeBron's aging,
If the Clippers are on and they know they have to put him down before Game 7, they'll definitely put him
they
down.
can do it. Like if Lou Will's balling out, Marcus Morris balling out, PG's having a good series, Kawhi's still being the best player in the playoffs, then I think they'll win in 6. But if it goes to 7, Lakers in 7.
Yeah, fair.
That's my opinion there.
I'd probably lean towards probably Lakers. I'll agree with your logic, but I'll say Lakers either win in 5 or 7.
Ooh,
Or Clippers in 6.
spicy.
I'll throw in a Lakers in 5.
Why Lakers in 5?
So I could see the Clippers just still having the shit attitude, just thinking, yeah, we've handled these guys all season, just fucking coming in cocky. I could see AD just absolutely exploiting the fuck out of whoever they try and defend him with.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
That would be beautiful. No, okay.
I could see Paul George shit in the bed. That's a
like
possibility.
I said, a lot of X factors. Like it's a low floor, high ceiling kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that with a lot of things, but just is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much.
Yeah, I'll
wrap
say
that
we've
one up.
previewed everything here nicely, I'd say. We don't want this to drag out too long because I got to edit it and get it out there while it's
How
all
fucking
relevant.
long is it, mate?
I don't know. It's just telling me it's 15:59 bars or something, whatever that means. It's not giving me seconds.
It's my rap career, 15 bars.
But yeah, we might as well wrap her up. So yeah, we'll wrap her up with a quick question here. Predicted finals matchup. So what? Heat Lakers? Is that sort of yours?
I'm predicting Heat Lakers.
Yeah, I'll go Heat Lakers as well because
I'm
I
going
sort
Heat
of
Lakers.
because that 2 out of my 3 Western Conference possibilities involve the Lakers winning, and I did sort of.
Yeah, we can talk about that when it happens, mate.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Yeah, bloody oath. But yep, Heat Lakers finals, everyone. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Catch you next time.